Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. It is absolutely an honor to have you up here, Miss Lisa. I heard about you about a good year ago, and I actually literally went and did something on social media and did a video because I'm from around that same area. I haven't been there in a long time, but I was just completely blown out of my mind. Like, how is this not like a huge thing that something like this happened? Because this is a huge inspiration coming out of a place like Decatur, Illinois. If some of y'all don't know about that area, it's an honor, and it's absolutely amazing for somebody to do something of such an achievement coming from a place like that. So I absolutely love that about that. Oops, sorry about that. So I just wanted to get that off and get that out and say it to her that it's an honor to be up here and be able to question you and ask a few things here. So
Thank
now,
you. Let me mention, my mother saw that video. And she said, Lisa, there's this young man, this black man who put a video on, and he was talking about you and saying how proud he was and that he was from Decatur. And I said, I don't know him, but my mother saw it.
she doesn't know Ty Smith. What? No, I'm just kidding. No. No, I love that though, and I really thank you for that. Things like that can definitely be something that can go unspoken. A lot of the actions, like just doing something like that, being an inspiration coming out of a place like Decatur, and being a great representation of not just, I know, folks, a colored thing, but also just being somebody that actually is about law and order. I absolutely love that. So again, so glad and honored to have you up here on the stage. So I think Kat's going to kick it off asking the first question.
Yes, I sure am. And I'm just going to say I always follow you, the Supreme Court justices, very closely. And recently there's been a lot of cases that I've been looking at, like the assault weapons ban, so-called assault weapons ban, and the Safety Act. And I just wanted to thank you for your decisions on those cases because you actually upheld what was actually constitutional in those decisions. So I just wanted to get that off my chest and say thank you. I'm one of those nerds that actually like look at all of the the rulings and how people rule. So first question I wanted to ask was, tell us about what got you thinking to getting into the law profession? What was the first thing that kind of sparked that?
I have to attribute that to my parents. My parents, Marvin and Corinne Holder, who still live in Decatur, Illinois, they saw something in me, their middle daughter, and they encouraged me to go to law school. And I was the middle daughter, and I was the one who would go to my mom and say, we need an increase in our allowance. Or I would go to my mom and say, I think we should be able to go to the skating rink and stay till 11 o'clock when the skate is over. And so they saw those things in me. I was always a person who kind of rooted for the underdog, stood up for someone maybe who was picked on at school. I felt like I could convince people to do what I wanted them to do. And so they said, Lisa, you ought to be a lawyer. Now, mind you, my parents, Marvin and Corinne Holder, as I stated, they got married at the ages of 17 and 20. And by the time my sisters and I, there are three girls, the Holder girls, three girls in the family, by the time we went off to college, neither of our parents had graduated from college, but still, they taught us girls that education was the road to opportunity. And so they taught us the importance of that, and so they saw that in me and said that I should be a lawyer, even though no lawyers in the family. My older sister was the first person on either side of my family to even graduate from college, but they saw something in me, and I said, I think I will do that. And so I've known that I wanted to be a lawyer since I was around 12 years old.
Nice. All right. How long have you been serving on the state Supreme Court, and like what led you to want to take that up?
So I've been on the Supreme Court since July 7th of last year, and I'm sure many of you will recognize the name of Rita B. Garman. She was the justice for the 4th District on the Supreme Court, which includes this area. And Justice Garman actually swore me in when I was made an associate judge in Macon County. And at that time, she was in the exact position that I'm in now. She was recently appointed to the Supreme Court by Ben Miller and his colleagues, and she was running to be elected to the Supreme Court. So she came to Decatur, Macon County, to swear me in. And so fast forward many years, because I've actually been a judge for 22 years, fast forward many years, Justice Garman asked me to go out to lunch. And this was in Decatur, and she was going to be heading back to Danville after being in court in Springfield. And I was very excited. She's a wonderful person, and so I quickly agreed to go to lunch with her, and the night before, my husband, James, who's here with me tonight, said to me, "What would you do if Justice Garmon said something to you about the Supreme Court?" And I said, "She's not going to say anything to me about the Supreme Court. We don't even live in the 4th District anymore, because with redistricting, they took Decatur, Macon County out of the 4th District." And so I went to lunch, and lo and behold, Justice Garmon shared with me that she was contemplating retiring, and she wanted to know if I would be interested in taking her seat on the court. And so that's how I found out that I was going to the Supreme Court, having lunch with Justice Garmon at the Gin Mill restaurant in Decatur, Illinois.
Wow.
I remember the dress I was wearing, the shoes I had on, everything about that day.
It's always those moments like that, you know, that you won't never forget because it's such a life-changing experience.
goodness,
So,
yes.
what did you eat?
I had salad with the salmon fillet.
Lisa, what I wanted to ask was, I'm thinking about the Illinois Supreme Court justice, and it's so different in comparison to everywhere else in the nation, the way our elections are conducted. So can you kind of explain the process of an Illinois Supreme Court justice and how they get elected in the first place?
Well, the thing about it is, Illinois is very unique in that we are only one of 8 states that elects judges. Most states, you have the governor appointing judges. I remember when I was recently in Peoria for their Lincoln Day dinner, and I sat next to Ron DeSantis, and he said to me, "How did you get on the Supreme Court as a Republican with Pritzker in office?" And I had to educate Governor DeSantis that that's not how it works in Illinois. And so we do elect our judges, but something else that's very unique is I talked about Justice Garmon talking to me about taking her seat on the court. So she actually had the ability to ask me to take her seat, and she voted for me to take her seat along with her colleagues on the court. And so she had that all taken care of before she finished up. And so once you're assigned or appointed as a Supreme Court justice, as an appellate court justice, or as a circuit judge, you then have to run to be elected to your seat. And we have various terms. So a circuit judge, if you're elected, you have a 6-year term. If you're elected to the appellate court, you have a 10-year term. You have a 10-year term on the Supreme Court, and then you run for what's called retention, where you're voting yes or no to keep the person. But initially, you have to run, you have to declare a party affiliation, so it puts judges in kind of a unique and awkward position because it's kind of throwing us into that category of politicians, but I will confess, most of us judges don't view ourselves as politicians.
Nice.
Yeah, well, you can't because it's the law, right?
That's right.
Well, you can't. It's the law.
Speaking of that, like once you got into law school, and before you got into law school, what do you think were your biggest challenges? Like before you got into school and then while you were in school?
You know, I have what I call an attitude of gratitude because I've been very fortunate in my life. I have wonderful parents. I've always had an incredible support system. My husband and I have been married for 35 years, together for 39 years. So I have to confess, I haven't had a lot of challenges, but the challenges that I did have, they were kind of self-made. So I mentioned that I was the middle child of 3 girls. Not only was I the middle child of 3 girls who liked to convince people to do what I wanted, I was the middle child of 3 girls who wanted to do what she wanted to do. And so when I was in high school, I did not work to the best of my capabilities. I didn't try as hard as I should have, as hard as I could have. My younger sister, Tina, is a year, she's 2 years younger than me, but she's only a grade behind me because she was actually put up a grade. So we sat in biology together, and there I was looking out the window, and there was Tina taking copious notes, you know. And so when I got ready to go off to college, my parents said to me, "All right, Lisa, we're going to pay for you to go off to college. We expect you to work hard and to do your best, and if you don't, you'll be right back here at home." And so it was really when I went off to college that I started taking very seriously my studies and the importance of doing my very best and working hard, and really began to appreciate learning and the ability, having knowledge and being able to figure things out and do well. And so I went away to college, and I received 1 C, all the rest A's, all through college. And so
Nice.
I lived up to what my parents told me I better do.
Nice.
Well, one thing I also wanted to ask you was what inspired you? Was it your family? Was it what got you one into law, but also just to get up and be motivated to do something like this?
I have to attribute that to my parents as well. My mom always used to say to us girls, it's so important to know the concept of deferred gratification. You can't have it all right now. You have to put in the work, and then once you put in the work, the consequences will be good because you'll be making good choices. And so I wanted to go to law school because I felt like I could help people. I also feel very comfortable, expressing myself, and so I felt like I could make a difference. And I've always been a lover of people, and so knowing that going in, you have to go to college, you have to go to law school, you have to study for the bar exam, you have to pass the bar exam, and you have to practice law. I was prepared for that. And of course, I had my husband. We actually got married at the end of my junior year in undergrad. And so James basically put me through law school. And so I knew, yes,
James.
So I knew going in, that it wasn't going to be a short trip, that there was going to be a lot of work and time involved, but I really tried not to focus on that, and I knew that at the end of the journey, I would have what I wanted, a law degree, and be able to help people.
Nice. Now, I know you mentioned your parents a lot, which that's definitely completely 100% understandable. But besides them, who would you say that you were inspired by? Like, were there any type of figure, especially in law? Was there anybody? Judge Judy? No, but
My parents love Judge Judy, by the way. They watch her every day. There were a lot of people who helped me and who inspired me along the way, Justice Garmon being one of them. Also, there is a former justice on the Illinois Appellate Court, Justice Carol Pope. I met her early in my career as a judge because I've been an associate judge, a circuit judge, an appellate court judge, and now Supreme Court. And I met Justice Pope when I was an associate judge, and she was a circuit judge, and then she went to the appellate court, and eventually I went to the appellate court. And she was just such a wonderful example of a hard worker, also willing to give back to other judges in terms of providing judicial education. She was also a former state's attorney in Menard County, and so just a real rock star, if you ask me, in the judiciary, and such a great example of the path to take. Also, going back to Decatur, my hometown, after I graduated from law school, I started out in the prosecutor's office, in the state's attorney's office, so I was an assistant state's attorney. And in Decatur, there are very few, and right now, I think there may be 2 at the most, I think even maybe just 1, but very few attorneys of color. And so, I think it's a beautiful example of if people see something in you, they're not concerned about your color. So there were many lawyers and after I graduated from law school, I started out in the prosecutor's office, in the state's attorney's office, so I was an assistant state's attorney. And in Decatur, there are very few, and right now, I think there may be 2 at the most, I think even maybe just 1, but very few attorneys of color. And so, I think it's a beautiful example of if people see something in you, they're not concerned about your color. So there were many lawyers, 2 at the most, I think even maybe just 1, but very few attorneys of color. And so, I think it's a beautiful example of if people see something in you, they're not concerned about your color. So there were many lawyers and judges there in Decatur who also nurtured me and gave me opportunities, and I'm so thankful for that.
Nice. Awesome.
So what are some of the big issues facing the Illinois Supreme Court in the coming year?
Well, on the Supreme Court, the way it works is, of course, as far as the cases we take, we don't have to take your case. So we look at a document called Petitions for Leave to Appeal. And those are the documents that people file asking us to take their case. And so as we're reviewing those petitions for leave to appeal, whether or not we grant those petitions, that will drive the issues that come before the court. And of course, we hear all kinds of cases. We hear criminal cases, civil cases, also cases involving different entities. And so at this point, I don't even know what the cases will be, because we're working through petitions for leave to appeal, and the cases that will be before us over the next year, that's still being decided.
What were the biggest cases you think this year?
Oh, definitely the case regarding the Safety Act and the case regarding the gun legislation. Those were the biggest cases, and I don't know if many of you know this, but when we have court, when we're in session, first of all, you can come and watch in person if you like. It's open to the public. Second of all, it's live streamed in real time on our website, so you can literally sit in the comfort of your own home and watch a case being argued and hear the questions, and then you can later go on our website and see the decisions that come out. And so with those cases, we would have, large numbers even watching via live stream. So those were definitely the biggest cases that we saw this year.
As long as you've been serving thus far, what would you say were the biggest high points and low points?
I go back to that attitude of gratitude. I really can't point to many low points. I mean, there are times when you're tired. There are times when the issues are very complex and you have to put in a lot of time to resolve the matter, but I really enjoy doing that. I would say the only low time I can think of is while I was serving on the appellate court, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And so at that time, I was serving on a lot of committees and doing a lot of things in addition to my job. And I decided to step away from everything other than serving on the appellate court and taking care of my dad and doing everything that I could do to make sure that Dad was okay. Of course, he and my mom are together, and they lived, in a home, but we lived right around the corner from them. And so I wanted to devote every moment that I could to supporting my father. And so it's really special that I made it to the Supreme Court, because there was a time when I probably would not have even accepted Justice Garmon's offer to join the Supreme Court, because I didn't want to take away any time from being with my father. But I'm so thankful to be able to say that both my parents, my mom and dad, were there to see their middle daughter sworn in on the Supreme Court. My dad is still with us. My mom is still with us. My dad rides his bike outside just about every day for about somewhere between 15 and 20 miles. And my dad,
oh,
yes,
wow, I thought you were going to say minutes.
No, miles outside.
His carbon footprint is
yes,
pretty
and my
small.
dad is 82 years young, so.
Well, I think that might wrap up the questions, but I do want to also just remember, people always do this thing where folks say, it's a saying that says, give them their flowers while they're still here. And I just want to say, I think that it's a huge inspiration coming out of a place like Decatur. It is a huge inspiration to see somebody such as you do what you're doing. You probably don't even know it, then again, you may, that there are numerous of people, they definitely after tonight are going to find out more about you, and your actions and what you do alone will speak a whole lot more volumes versus them possibly coming up and even hearing you speak. Because I came from Decatur, and what got me into the medical field and everything was seeing somebody that looked just like you that was in the medical field, and I had no idea that can even be done, and that's what ended up drawing me to do it. So again, I just want to say I'm honored and grateful that you came, and really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
And I just want to say thank you as well. And, I'm a big receipts gal. I always look at the receipts, and I mean, you rule right, and you rule on the side of the law. So I appreciate that as a constituent. Speaking of which, all of you are able to sign all of the judges' petitions here tonight, so do grab Illinois Supreme Court Justice Lisa Holder White, grab her petition and sign it if you haven't yet. And all of the other judges that are here tonight, be sure to get your petition signed. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Hey, let's hear it for Supreme Court Justice Lisa Holder White. I also want to say special thanks to modern Renaissance man Ty Smith for helping, and radio personality Kat.
All righty, folks. So there you guys have it. That was the interview right there that I got to do with her. And what an honor it absolutely 100% was to do this. Who would have thought that me just doing a video on this woman that at the time there was like a stranger because she came out of my same hometown as an Illinois Supreme Court justice. Who would have known that months later I would be able to interview her? And I was able to talk with her. We were able to talk with her afterwards, pick her brain on a lot of things, and just had a wonderful conversation with her, my wife and I. And guys, this is what I'm talking about. This right here, what I just showed you guys in this interview, and you heard her, and it was something that jumped out. And I don't know if too many of you guys caught it, but it was something that completely jumped out here, okay? And I know y'all saw me rewinding it a few times, but it's something that jumped out right here. Watch this. See if I can find the spot where she said it.
Have even accepted Justice Garmon's offer to join the Supreme Court. There was a time when special that I made it to the Supreme Court, because there was a time when I probably would not them, and so I wanted to do what I could do to make sure that Dad was okay. Other than, and so flex, and you have to put in a lot of times when the issues are very, there are
Points.
those were definitely, with those cases streamed in real time on our website through petitions for leave to appeal. We're reviewing those petitions about your color. So there were many lawyers and judges.
This is what I'm talking about right here.
They're not concerned about your color. They're not concerned about your color. They're not concerned about your color. Very few attorneys of color. And so, I think it's a beautiful example of, if people see something in you, they're not concerned about your color.
Oh, no, that can't be it. She don't know what she's talking about. What does she mean that where she got herself from? They're not concerned about their color, your color. Yes, they are. Supreme Court Justice, the Honorable Illinois Supreme Court Justice Lisa Holder White. How dare you say something like that? She doesn't know what she's talking about. She must not know the real world. She must not know that there's some master that's up there that's white that's keeping this woman from getting to the place she is right now. Her. So anybody, I don't care who you are. You definitely already know I'm not going to buy the bull crap. But a lot of people will look at what I've done and what I've achieved and just think, woo, but I'm talking about this is an Illinois Supreme Court Justice. You going to come and tell her, well, you want, oh my, can you imagine? And we talked with afterwards, her parents never even put that stuff in her head. Her parents, who are older than her, of course they're older than her, who probably was there doing the civil rights movement and all those things. You telling me they told her, the only thing that's going to stop you from getting where you want to go is you, Lisa.
They didn't push this, oh, there's a racist white man. Oh, Lisa, that world that you're getting ready to go into, I don't know how you're going to make it through there. Oh, no, Lisa. This is what I'm talking about. She did it. Illinois Supreme Court justice said that nobody was concerned about her color. But guess what? They was concerned about her credentials. Now, I asked a very, very crazy question. No, I'm just joking, y'all. It wasn't a crazy question. I asked a very easy question. I said, why is it that this woman is not promoted? Why is it that Lisa Holder White is not like in the books, like, or something? Why is it that she is not even like talked about in school books? Why isn't this woman being invited in Illinois? Why isn't she being invited to go to the Boys and Girls Club? Why aren't they pulling her to go to the predominantly black after school programs and things of the sort? Why isn't anybody reaching out to her for her to come there? Why wouldn't the news be pushing this as a big, huge thing in Decatur? They did a small little segment on her. This is historical. They did a small segment on her, and I'll tell you why. Let me read off some of the things here. I'm gonna read off some things here. Check this out. Lisa Holder White was the first associate and circuit judge in the 6th Judicial Circuit. You know how people like to push, you know how people like to push this whole black thing, right, y'all? I'm just saying. You know how people love to push the whole black, the first black. Oh, black. She was the first black associate in the circuit judge in the 6th Judicial District, right? The first black justice on the 4th District Applegate Court, and the first black woman to serve as a justice on the Illinois Supreme Court. Isn't that supposed to be like a huge, isn't that supposed to be like a huge giant thing amongst the black people? Decatur, Illinois has a lot of black people. Shouldn't this be something that she should be like NAACP, should be having this woman at a speaking event. They should be having this woman at anything that got to do with black. And I'm telling y'all, in Decatur, there is a huge cancer of terribleness when it comes to black people in Decatur, Illinois. Why isn't this woman being pushed to go there? Come on now, we got all this first black. Very classy, as y'all can see, very elegant, very sophisticated. Very. Why isn't this woman being asked to go and do anything on any major venues that happen in Decatur, or I call it Decatur, Illinois? Why isn't it? You want to know why? She's red. Uh-oh. She's red. She's Republican. They didn't like that. Whoa, hold on now. We know that you completely broke records. We know that you completely blew things out of the water as far as accomplishments amongst black people, and especially since they like to push this amongst us, our community, especially among black women, to achieve such a high thing. This woman ought to be in especially Decatur. She should be almost involved in almost anything that got to do with black people trying to accomplish something and do something. You can just tell by her demeanor, by the way she talks. You can just tell that this woman is a huge inspiration, that she would be a person that you would definitely sit down at the feet of and listen to her talk. She just has one of those type of presence. Like, even that, my wife is the same way. You can just listen to them talk. They're very like inviting, you know what I mean? But no, nobody's going to push that. Nobody's going to go after her because the lady's red. She's Republican. Oh, pump the brakes on that. She's not really black. We can't do that. She's not a real black woman because and her husband is black, and he's black too. See, oh yeah, people thought, oh, I bet she's married to a white man. Psych! No, she's not. Her husband is black too. He darker than me. This just goes to show you guys that who is over all this media outlets and things of the sort. This just goes to show you guys that they do not want you in Decatur. I just got done showing you a video of me being in the Hall of Fame. I'm from Decatur. I'm just showing you guys right there a video of this woman right here who is a Supreme Court Justice from Decatur as well. You think they really reach out to her or even me to come and do anything like that? No. We don't fit the mold. And I'm not even Republican. I'm not even Democratic either. I'm nothing. But no, we don't fit the mold. We don't go around telling people that they can't do anything. We don't go around telling people they can't accomplish anything. We don't go around saying there is a system that's against all you black people. But yet, her and I both coming out of Decatur, Illinois, even my own wife, from Decatur, she went and got her degree. Accomplishment. You think they want to end up promoting people like us? No, we don't fit the mold. We don't fit the whole notion of we can't do anything. We shall overcome. We don't do all that. Oh, follow the drinking gourd. We don't fit that mold. So of course they're not gonna have us go, because that's why they want to keep having certain black individuals that's supposed to be activists. They're supposed to be for the people. But yet at the same time, the things that they're telling black people in this city is the reason why black people are not trying to further themselves and accomplish anything, because they feel like they can't. They don't even feel like they're worthy to even do it. That's the reason why. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all listening to this and all that good stuff. Make sure y'all hit the thumbs up button before y'all get out of here. Don't forget, you guys all have a contacts in your phone. Let them know about this. And I can tell you, just based off right now, the fact that I'm pushing out a huge positive thing of what I just did and what this lady did tonight, it's the reason why YouTube is not notifying anybody. It's the reason why. I'm Ty Smith, Model Renaissance Man, hoping and praying that every last one of you guys have food, shelter, and clothing. And most of all, I pray every last one of you guys in great health, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. God bless you all through Jesus.
What's going on, everybody? So, hey, check this out. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to view these videos. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also, right here is where you can catch the next video, the latest video that I've done. But like right up here, this is stuff that I've done kind of in the past. So in this area, you might find